In the era of 9/11, Apple's first iPod, and the publishing of the legendary Twilight series, the 2000s brought a new generation of kids that were born too late to enjoy the 90s, but just early enough that our parents didn't raise us by throwing iPads at us. This is the first episode of the Only 2000s Kids Remember, a podcast where me and my best friend talk about memories that we had growing up in the early 2000s, a time that was generally less stressful. I'm here with my best friend since middle school, Brady, Chinese Takeout. We all know him. If you're in the Discord server, you know him. He's been there for a while.
Brady, what's good, everyone?
Welcome. Is there anything in particular you want to start off with, or any like really powerful memories that you have from the time?
So kind of like piggybacking off of the intro, I just wanted to say a few words, just kind of like how a lot of my memories, at least like from back then, I don't know if you've seen those memes that are like comparing how we saw the world as a kid versus how we see it now. And it's like super colorful and like bright. Yeah. So like all of my memories kind of in that era, when I think back on them, I can picture like that, right? And I think that's kind of like, again, what the intro is saying is it was generally just a less stressful time for everyone. We were worried about having fun. We weren't worried about like trying to survive.
Right.
So I think like that's why we can remember so much like vivid memories of being a kid. And for me, really, like my like solid memories start when I was, in about first, second grade. I actually lived in California. As you know, I am a military family, so we moved around a lot. I've lived in countless places, and so one of the things I remember is having to figure out how to make friends over and over.
Right, because you were moving so often.
Yeah, right. And so like some of my first friends I have really vivid memories of, just because like at that time, that was like the first time I really had to try to like make new friends. And I remember, we all lived in this one neighborhood. We would all walk to school together. It was like a really tight group of kids. And we were just, I can't remember too much about actual going to school, right? Like I can't recall what I did in class. But that kind of relates to like, we were just worried about having a good time. And I think a lot of that comes from outside of school, where me and my friends were playing outside all the time, or we were, going to the beach, because in California, I kind of lived near the beach.
Yeah, they're everywhere there.
Yeah. So, a lot of it was outside of school, but kind of leaning it more towards the 2000s vibe and like relating it to other people. One of the key things I remember is Pokemon cards.
Yes, sir.
How addictive and like looked down upon those were, especially for like the teachers, because we literally had like a black market of Pokemon cards.
Yeah. Like trading them and everything at the school.
Yeah, right.
Yes, sir.
At recess, we would literally have to go hide behind trees
That's great.
to just whip out some Pokemon cards and like trade a bunch of level X's.
No way.
I totally wish I kept a lot of them, right? Because now they're worth hundreds, if not thousands of dollars,
right? Which
is crazy. But that was like my first ever good memory was Pokemon cards. It's the most random thing, but it was such a good time. And like another off topic, well, not really, but I could literally remember how the cards smelt. If that's
because they had that that kind of book smell, but not quite book. It was like
a new book, but it was like more chemically, dude. Yeah,
yeah, that's the one. You nailed it.
Yeah, it was awesome. I love that.
So just to back up on what you said a little bit, you said you used to walk to school as a group. What grade was this?
So this was first-ish, second grade.
First grade, bro was walking to school.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of, it was a fine neighborhood. We had a group.
No, that's the thing though, because recently, if you take like, I know you don't live in the same place I do anymore, but if you take a look at the schools in my area, there's traffic like for miles down the roads,
Right.
because parents are driving their kids to school even though they live in like, you know, my neighborhood or the neighborhood behind that middle school. What the heck is that? I don't remember what the neighborhood's called.
Blue Ridge.
Yeah, but the kids aren't walking to school anymore. They're either bussed in or they're driven.
Yeah, I noticed that too. It's kind of it kind of sucks because it's totally different walking to school with a bunch of people rather than just sitting in a car.
Right. And I don't know if you've noticed this in your neighborhoods, but in my neighborhoods, nobody plays outside anymore. Like, I know there's kids in the neighborhoods. Where are they? Why are they not playing outside like we used to?
Yeah, no, they're inside. They're you know, playing Fortnite and whatever.
That's what I'm saying.
It's totally different time.
Yeah, man. I mean, I went to, so like, just to segue into I know you said a lot of your early memories are from first grade, but for some reason I can remember a few things about my preschool. I don't know if I told you this, but I actually went to like a kind of a religious preschool where they kind of like, it was in a church. So they kind of taught like, you know, the teachings,
really
to
at
us
that age?
Yeah. So, and I always thought it was a little creepy because it was one of those churches that like have graveyards attached to them.
Oh,
So,
yeah,
like,
you're right.
So there was a playground on the church like yard, like on their land there was a playground, and then right behind the playground was a graveyard. So like it was really weird to see like the dichotomy of like super young kids and then graveyard.
Right. Yeah, that is kind of whack.
Yeah, so there's a couple activities I very vividly remember from that place. One was that we used to watch, I don't know if you probably know VeggieTales.
Oh yeah, of course.
We used to watch VeggieTales from I don't remember if it was a VHS. I'm pretty sure it was a VHS on a CRT TV in the church's attic. We had to like
in
climb,
the attic.
Yeah, in the attic. We had to like climb one of those like folding ladders things that would like, you know, you would pull down from the ceiling and it would like unfold. We had like our class of like 10 or 15 and we would take turns, you know, going up the ladder, sit in a circle, pulled out the CRT and watched VeggieTales.
All of that just to watch VeggieTales.
Yeah, the CRT was on like a very small cart in the attic, and I don't know I don't know why they picked the attic in particular, but that's what it was.
It's kind of weird when you think about it.
I remember like, so because it was like a religious school, I don't know if you know that much about like Christian/Catholic
Not really
stuff,
much,
but
no.
during like, I think it's right in the middle of Mass, they have this ceremony where it's going to be kind of hard to explain in a podcast, but they have this ceremony where they bring out like very small wheat wafers and wine.
Okay.
And you're supposed to believe as a Catholic that it is the body and blood of Christ through a process called transubstantiation, or something like transubstantiation, something like that. And you form a giant line and you receive the body of Christ in your hand. It's called a communion wafer. The whole thing is called communion. And you eat it, and then you turn to the left and you know, have an option to ingest the blood of Christ, which is wine in that case.
Like actual wine?
Yes, but not you don't. I'm pretty sure you don't do it as a kid. I'm pretty sure you obviously you have to be 21 to partake in the blood of Christ. But
yeah.
But that whole situation, that whole ritual was taught to us in preschool using grape juice and pita bread. And I have this vivid memory of them telling us that this bread was the body of Christ. And I was like, I said, dang, this body of Christ is good. Can I have more?
What?
as a kid, because I had no idea, like, you know, my camera's being weird, but I had, you know, as a kid that age, you don't like understand the importance of the ritual and all that, and like how it applies to the whole service as a whole. So obviously, being a kid, you know, we just felt like it was snack time with pita bread and grape juice.
I mean, yeah, did it at least like taste good or?
Yeah, no, the pita bread and grape juice tastes good. The actual communion wafers that they do are supposed to be flavorless and just kind of dissolve. I don't remember like anything about if we actually like, I'm pretty sure we learned like reading and, you know, English and all that kind of stuff, but I'm pretty sure we did it through like religious teachings.
Right. That's kind of weird. Like my family is like not at all religious. So like hearing like at such a young age going through that, it's so weird to hear. Like, so I don't want to like it kind of feels like they're, I don't know, forcing it on the kids. It's like, what?
No, so
at least to me.
No, yeah, you're spitting, but yeah, it was just very strange as kids to be taught like all like this stuff. You know, you have to believe.
Right. Yeah.
Because faith, you know, you're not supposed to see proof. You're just supposed to believe it. But as kids, we're so curious. We're always asking, why is this? Why is this?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I remember meeting a couple people in preschool, and funnily enough, they still live in my neighborhood.
Really?
But I mean, I don't really talk to them anymore, but we would pretend that we were like archaeologists, like expedition kind of people, and we would like dig around on the playground like looking for things.
That's awesome.
Right next to the graveyard. In retrospect, that probably wasn't a great idea.
Yeah, could have dug up some bones,
dude. Yeah. So did you have any like, I remember in like skipping, I will be coming back to kindergarten, but skipping kindergarten, we had a class pet in first grade.
Oh yeah. You
had class pet?
Yeah, I don't remember. See, that's the thing. I don't remember what grade it was, but I remember some grade we had a guinea pig.
Nice. We had this massive snake. I don't remember what it was called.
Oh, that's even cooler. What?
Yes, sir.
But yeah, we would, you know, I don't know what the point is. I guess just to like.
I think it's supposed to be like responsibility. Like we're coming together to like take care of something that's kind of bigger than ourselves, that relies on us thinking about them to, you know, to survive basically.
Yeah, because I do remember we'd all have a feeding schedule. We'd take turns.
Yep.
Yeah. See, as you like talk about stuff, I just keep remembering stuff. Like I would never have thought about that.
So going back to like a little bit back, going to kindergarten, there's like a bunch of nostalgic things that we could talk about, like from this area, like those plastic counting bears that we see in like every single only 2000s kids remember Instagram reels. There's also, I don't know if you had these, but there were these like cardboard yellow clocks that like you could turn the hands, the short
like
hands and the long hands to teach you time, right?
Yes, dude.
And
yes,
we used to have this circular, or I guess it was more like oblong, like oval mat. My camera is being unfocused again, but it used to have letters of the alphabet on it, and it would go around the circumference of the oval, and it would go obviously from A to Z. And me and, funnily enough, that kid from preschool, we were in the same kindergarten class as well. We would used to fight over the letter A. We would used to argue over, you know, like who was better, who got to sit in the premier alpha spot on the
real
kindergarten
problems,
carpet. Yeah. And so there was one day when the teacher, our kindergarten teacher, just had enough of it. She's like, nobody is sitting on A. You're going to F and you're going to I. and it was like on the opposite
man.
sides of the oval. And
Now you done it.
we never argued. We never argued ever since then. I was kind of a selfish kid back then. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Really? Well, you still are. I'm just kidding. It's a joke.
Bro, I had all the crayons to myself, dude.
What, dude? Okay, crayons, dude. There was like a monopoly on crayons. Like, there's one color everyone wanted, and then they didn't even use it. They just wanted it.
Yep. That's what I'm saying. Like, everybody wanted this very specific shade of yellow, and this very specific shade of blue, and just because other people wanted it, made me want it. So I just.
I mean, hey, man.
I was a jerk as a kid, bro.
We had it coming, sounds like.
Honestly.
Kind of going back to those, the carpet thing. Do you remember those carpets with like the streets and like cars on them?
Yes, dude. I used to like play the Hot Wheels on those things.
Yes. Yeah. Right. We had one of those, and again, I don't know exactly what grade, but I totally remember using that. That was awesome.
That just unlocked a memory for me. I had like a plastic Hot Wheels. Actually, I think it was like Fisher Price or something, but it was like a garage, and you can like park the cars in it, and like it would like make different sounds depending on where the car was parked. It would make like that like from the air tools, and you could like crank up an elevator and bring the cars down like the ramp and all that, and then it would go on the streets on the carpet, dude. Yeah, I remember all that.
That is where we learned how to drive, not like IRL.
That's what I'm saying. You learned how to drive on a $10,000 racing sim. I learned how to drive with Hot Wheels on a playmat.
Yeah, bro. We are not the same.
We are not the same. That's what I'm saying. Oh my god. Yeah, so we used to have... I remember just kindergarten just generally being like recess all day. But we did have a nap time, and we did have a like a dedicated recess block.
Yeah.
And during that time, we could either play inside or outside. There was a walled off area for the kindergartners to play outside, and I would always play inside because the class that I was in had Legos.
There you go.
Yep. There was a small group of us who always went right for the Legos.
It's the toys to play with. Like
That's what I'm saying.
Legos were like, that's when they were big in my life. I mean, they still are, but like that's kind of the age I learned about them. And
yeah.
They were really big back then.
That's what I'm saying. And like, I mean, going forward a little bit to first grade now, there was a really bad, like, I think there was a tornado came through right in the front of my school. And we had to do the tornado drill with like the arms behind the head,
Yeah, you crouch down in the hallway or whatever.
Yeah. So we did that as first grade or second grade up to fifth grade, because that was the school that I went to. It was kindergarten through fifth. And so we were, hunched over doing our thing, and we saw like kindergartners playing with Legos during the tornado.
Not a care in the world. They just want to play Legos.
Yeah, I guess they were just trying to keep them from crying or whatever.
I guess that's valid. But still, dude.
Oh yeah, my class was like, why are they playing with Legos?
Surprised you didn't go over there and just start taking them, bro.
That sounds like something I would do. Oh man. So my first grade teacher was actually like a cheer mom.
Oh.
And she had her daughter in cheer in first grade. And her daughter's best friend was also in cheer in first grade. And she was like, that kind of like, I want to say Loudoun County mom, but nobody on the platform would know what that means. So basically it's a very specific person that, goes to the soccer games, goes to the cheer meets, and brings like the bottle of wine with the tumblers, and like talks all the like gossip with her cheer mom friends, pulls out the lawn chairs, has the, you know, like the wine glass, pours a glass for her and her homies.
They got a whole loadout of stuff.
That's right. They got the igloo, not igloo, Yeti coolers with the Stanley mugs. No, they didn't exist back then, but the coolers with the the whole loadout. Oh, the Suburbans, the big Suburbans, the big SUVs.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Okay,
that kind of a person was my first grade teacher, and we had a snake, and I remember the classroom had blackboards in it, like with chalk, not with you know, whiteboards with expo markers or whatever.
Right.
And yeah, we would know what kind of a day it was going to be based on her mood. Like some days she would just be in an awful mood, and when somebody talks out of line, she'd be like, all right, everybody heads down, be quiet until I say you cannot. And then we're like, okay. And then someone will sneeze, and then she'll restart the timer.
Oh my, no way.
Yeah,
that's horrible.
We had to we did have to go to, like, we did that thing where we would like switch classes for subjects, but not like in the middle school sense where you would have a locker and you would go to math, you would go to science, you'd go to English. We had, you know, our English, our language arts, our whatever class that wasn't math, and our whatever class that wasn't science in one room, and then we would go to someone else's class for math and science.
Right.
So you said you don't remember anything about, like, once you actually got to school in first grade, like what you did, who you like, that kind of thing?
Not much. I don't have like, I don't know if it's just the kind of person I am. It's just, you know, I'm not a fan of being in a classroom all day.
Yeah, no, I feel that.
And all the way through high school, I still wouldn't. But like I said, most of my memories are outside of school. Like I can remember a few things we did, like while we weren't learning in classroom.
Right.
Like we had a garden that we would always work on with this one teacher, and that was awesome. But like it wasn't.
Yeah, right.
It literally wasn't in classroom. So yeah, I don't remember much of like what I did learning. Like you can tell me about the counting bears and like the carpets. Like yeah, that I can remember bits, but I don't remember like when we did that stuff like that. I don't know. It's weird.
So for those that are watching the stream right now, the little bears that we're talking about are on my screen now. For those that are going to be listening to this audio only, I apologize, but we do have some people, international listeners on the stream right now that probably don't know what these bears are. But these plastic bears were like everywhere in kindergarten, preschool, you know, teaching us how to count, like how many bears we'd have, you know, 1, 2, 3 blue bears, 3 red bears, whatever, you know. Those things were literally everywhere.
They were awesome. Like again, the kind of person I am, I literally can remember what those smelled like. Yeah. Like the most random smell, but I can totally remember it.
Another thing that I remember vividly are these things. Once again, I will describe it for the audio only listeners, but it was a device that would go on a cart, and it had a screen, and you would put a clear sheet on top of the screen, and the overhead projection will put it onto the wall or the blackboard. And I remember this specific cart that's on screen now, coming into my first grade class, and there would be like, you know, dinosaur fossil stencils on it or something like that, and the teacher would like trace them onto the blackboard. There were also these very specific markers that you had to use on the stencils.
Yep.
And then someone would screw up and like put it on the, you know,
They'd go right on the whiteboard with it, and it wouldn't come off.
Yep, exactly. So
terrifying.
Right. So we also used to we knew it was going to be a good day when the CRT TV with the VHS player came on the cart, on this cart that you see right here on my screen. It was like a beige cart with 2 shelves that folded outward. And there's a CRT TV that would fit right on the top with a VHS player on the bottom shelf, and they would play either one of 2 or 3 brands of movies. One was like, the classic Bill Nye, but that came kind of later. But one that I remember specifically was DK Eyewitness, and I've got the intro opening right here. For those that know, this will be an instant memory unlock.
I love this so much.
I'm gonna replay it right now on stream. Anyway, yeah, you get the point. The nostalgic. I used to think that this intro was so weird as a kid. But yeah, that's the DK Eyewitness intro. It was strange.
I'm looking at it now, and I realize how poorly it's edited. That's what I'm taking away from it. That's all I noticed. It's just like, whoa, this is not as cool as I remember. But it's still totally like nostalgic. Like I totally remember listening to that stuff. And you're right. It was gonna be a good day when that turned on.
It was either the substitute teacher or it was gonna be an amazing day.
Oh yeah.
So, switching topics from education to a little bit of gaming for a second. Do you remember your first game that you played? It doesn't have to be like on a console that you owned yourself. Maybe it was at a computer lab or like, because we had those. We went to actual computer labs. We didn't all have laptops or Chromebooks or phones. We had to go to the computer lab with the Dell Optiplex, whatever they were.
Yeah, so that's a good one. Like I remember we had, like you said, we had a computer lab. This was same first, second grade ish. It was like one of those like trailer things. Separate
okay.
from the actual school.
Yeah.
And we'd go in there, and the one that I remember, at least, was called Type to Learn. And it was like this stupid space typing. Is like taught us how to type. Right. And I remember like back then how freaking hard it was to learn how to type with my hands positioned on F and A or F and J, and like back then I was a finger typer, so I just look at it and
you'd poke.
I just. But now now that I look back on it, obviously helped a lot. But that every time someone brings that up, and side note, not many people actually know about that, so I don't know if it's just like a school thing or like I don't know how the distribution on that worked, but not a lot of people know what that is, surprisingly. But that's definitely like the first game, if you will, that I remember. I don't know if I'd call it a game because it's more educational. But yeah, that's probably what mine would be. How about you? Do you remember anything like that?
Yeah, so the first games that I played were from the Atari, but they weren't on the Atari. They were on my family's beige computer that we had in the kitchen. So we had like this beige computer set that looked something like this. It had a giant, computer tower, and it had a matching monitor, matching keyboard and mouse, and a matching printer. That was with it.
No way.
And so we had these discs, these CD-ROMs or whatever you want to call them.
Yep.
And the computer tower had a disk drive in it, and the Atari games were on a disc. I put the disc in, and it would give you a selection screen of which game you wanted to play. And I loved this one game. I'm trying to remember what it was called. Oh, Crystal Castles. It came out in '83. And
Jeez.
You played as a... I want to say you played as a bear, and you tried to go around these castles, in air quotes. On-screen watchers, I'm going to put the picture up for you here on the right side, right above my webcam. But you played as a bear, and you tried to collect these dots, these red dots, and you'd go around the map. I say map with huge air quotes because it was like, 24, 48 bits or whatever the heck it was. And you would like, climb up the stairs or go down like the ramps or whatever and try to collect all the red dots without you getting caught by the snakes or the bugs or whatever those things were.
Wait, hold up, I kind of remember this too. What?
There were different maps like this. There was one that had like a bunch of ramps with like trees that were the enemies, and you had to collect like honey pots or something.
Yeah, I totally remember that.
That was my favorite of the Atari games, but I also would play, obviously, like, Pong, Pac-Man, that kind of stuff. But,
right, yeah.
So I would sneak downstairs every once in a while and try to play this game on this beige PC set. And my parents would always catch me every single time I tried to do it. They always came down, at whatever. I thought it was late, but it was probably like 10:30. They would always come down, what are you doing playing the
That's so funny.
the game? Oh, man. So, yeah, but after that, I remember getting a Game Boy Advance SP. It was gray, and it was the Game Boy that flipped. It had the clamshell feature where you would, flip it out, and it had the D-pad on the left, A and B on the right, and I think it was start and select on the bottom. Maybe something else, but
yeah, it's like I totally remember those. That was pre Nintendo DS, so that was
Yep. It was 2000. I want to say 2003.
That was a long time ago.
Did I write anything in my notes about it? I think it was 2003. Yes, the Game Boy Advance SP came out in 2003. So the DS came out, I think, in 2004. But I never got handhelds or consoles the year they were released. So I may have been like, yeah, it must have been kindergarten, first grade when I got the Game Boy. And I remember very vividly, I cannot believe I found this picture, but I'm going to show it to the people watching the stream. We were talking about this earlier. I had this very specific Corvette lamp in my room. For those of you that don't know, the Corvette is a car made by Chevy, and it's like their flagship sports car or whatever. I had this very unique, let's say, lamp in my room that looked like this. And this lamp had this key on it right here. And if you turned the key one click, it would turn on the lamp. But if you turned the key all the way, it would make the sound that Corvette made out of its terrible speakers. And I remember sitting underneath this lamp playing Mario Advance, I think it was, for hours in my garage themed room that my dad made for me.
Garage themed room?
Yes, sir. That's what it was. I'm telling you.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know. Something about like games back then were just so like intriguing. And I remember kind of like what you said, you like sneak around and try to play them. I would totally do the same thing. Like my parents had this is like one of the first generation Macs or whatever, and I would try to get on there and go to like, thomastheTankEngine.com and just play this web game or whatever. And it was, I don't know, something about them was just so like, it's kind of like when they were starting to get kind of blow up, if you will. So I think it was just like something so different.
Right,
and new.
Right, because before then, PCs were made to get things done. They were made to be very productive. Not saying that games can't be productive, but they were made specifically for, businesses and like productivity, work, that kind of thing.
Right.
and now that they can play games, you know, and it was very different for, you know, the adults at the time too, because obviously they don't know, you know, what their kid is getting into with these games. And this is prior to, you know, adults today just shoving phones and tablets in their kids' faces, like TikTok, and absolutely just parasitic. I can't even find the words to describe how poor that parenting style is, and also how bad these things are for development in a human being. But
yeah,
you know, that's beyond the scope of this silly little recording. So, like, I don't know about you, but at that same time, my brother and I were very into not very into the way that some girls are into plushies now, but we were into stuffed animals, specifically
totally.
Webkins, because you could go online with your pet and like take care of it.
Yeah.
Did you
Yeah.
which Webkins did you have? Let me know. Drop
I
the
wasn't a
specs.
Webkins person, but I definitely had a pretty substantial stuffed animal collection from what I
Yep.
remember. And I mean, I'm pretty sure my parents still have like a lot of them still like at their house that they just kept.
Right.
But no, I was again, there wasn't like the Webkins, but I remember what you're talking about. Like I completely remember kind of sidetrack, my neighbors back then had a bunch of them.
Yeah.
And I remember it was like a big thing. But I was kind of in it more for like just having stuffed animals rather than actual Webkins.
Right. Right.
So I don't remember that exactly, but I do know I had a bunch of stuffed animals.
Right. So, with that being said, did you have a favorite one?
Yes, I had this little elephant that I would, sleep with all the time. And I don't know, just something about that elephant.
That's sick.
Stuck with me.
Was it like
I
your
love that
oldest one?
elephant.
Was like one of your first ones that you got, or?
Yeah, I think my dad had gotten it for me when I was born or something. I don't exactly remember. But yeah, it must have just been like a attachment from that, but I remember that.
I have that same sort of story because going with the same garage bedroom theme, I had this pillow that was shaped like a NASCAR. And I loved that thing. I would sleep with that thing every day. My brother had a like a favorite blankie, or like a blanket, very small, like, or a smaller thing. Mine was always the race car. And this may or may not be my privilege talking or whatever, call it what you want, but my dad loves like building things, right? He likes doing things and making things. He put together a bedroom for me that was, obviously, as I talked about before, it was garage themed. So he built my bed as a bunk bed, but it was designed to look like it was a car lift.
That is cool.
So it had two settings, the low and the high. And, I could obviously pick which thing I wanted to sleep on, the high lift or the low lift.
What?
And I had a dresser that was made to look like a toolbox.
Oh my God.
And my grandma loves making things out of fabric. So, like sewing, embroidery, that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And she made a checkered flag window curtain. And then, so that tied in to the garage race car theme. And then on the same wall that my door is on, my dad had cut this old Texaco gas pump stencil out of very thin plywood, or maybe it was veneer, and put it on the wall with a couple nails to a stud. So it looked like I had a gas station, like a gas pump on my wall. And the gas, like the actual gas pump, was a hook where I could hang, my clothing or jackets or whatever.
Were you like really into cars, or is this just like...
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, you still are, but I mean, like...
Yeah. So...
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I had... Then after that, my mom kept complaining because she's kind of allergic to trees, and she always
allergic to trees.
She always like had this idea in her head that the homemade furniture that my dad made gave her allergies. So she made him get rid of it all. And my bed was then replaced by a corrugated steel, like, you know, they use that it's really hard to describe, but it's a steel reflective plate with those bumps, with those diagonal bumps on it.
Yeah, like the grip.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
my bed frame was replaced from a bunk bed to a bigger full bed, but the bed frame was that corrugated steel, so it still kind of fit with the garage theme.
That's cool. That's really creative too. Like,
yeah, it's a lot of you know, family, you know, my grandmother loving to make, you know, embroidery, fabric, crafting kind of stuff, and also I was their first grandchild, so them being the Italian, you know, oh my gosh, we're getting it, you know, they really wanted to, you know, go all out with that.
Yeah, of course.
So, like, what about like things that happened outside of school, but that you have memories of, like maybe, you know, learning how to ride a bike, or scooters, razor scooters, or anything like that you remember?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I was a big like play outside kind of kid.
Same.
And I don't exactly remember where I learned how to ride a bike per se, but I definitely was able to ride around. The same time I was in California, I was able to ride around that neighborhood. And you know, we have kind of funny story related to bikes. We had these neighbors that me and my brother were really good friends with. Their names were Will and Ben. I still remember them vividly. They were kind of a weird family, but you know, we'd all play outside.
Right.
But they literally, anytime me and my brother got something, they would get the exact same thing the next day.
We had that. We had a family like that.
Like, we got new bikes, they got new bikes. We got this Pokemon tin from Target, they got the exact same one the next day. Like, it was so funny.
Yep.
But yeah, that's besides the point. Those kids we would always be playing outside with. And I always remembered we'd have to look over there to see if their garage was open, and if it was, we'd go over there and, you know, hang out.
That was the key. The key was if the garage was open, then they were, you know.
Yep, they were probably outside.
Yep. We just went wherever the bike pile was.
Dude, yeah. So we kind of banking on that. We literally had, and you've probably seen those memes of like those electrical box thingies.
Electrical box thingies. The town, the neighborhood, like high voltage.
Yeah, that was
like,
the spot where we
meet me at the
right?
neighborhood high voltage spot. Yeah.
Exactly, bro. And that we had that, and you know, we would. It was just a good time. I remember we were always outside. We kind of, all the neighbors knew who we were, so like we could go onto their lawns with like no issues, and just mess around.
Let me try to get an image in people's heads for this neighborhood voltage box.
Yeah, that's probably actually smart. Yeah.
Here's what it looked like. Every neighborhood would have one of these, or more, and coincidentally, it would always be like where the bus stop was, or like, you know, someone's house would be on a corner, and boop, there's the high voltage box. It would always be,
that
you
was
know,
the spot.
at a very, you know, conspicuous location.
That was the structure, if you will. But yeah, we had those neighbors we would play with. I have this one random memory. I think I don't exactly remember why I was speeding away on a bike, but I was speeding away on a bike, and I was like looking behind me at them.
Right.
And I turn around and just slam face first into a parked car.
Oh,
and I
no.
sprawl over the hood. Luckily, I wasn't hurt that bad, but it was just a stupid.
The shock, right?
It was I don't know what I was doing. But I just remember turning around, there was a car, and I was like, well, it is.
I can imagine you saying that, like, while you're riding the bike, you turn around, you cut, well, boom.
It is what it is. And yeah, I smacked right into that thing. I was on the, it was good times though.
How was the car?
I would assume it was probably reasonably fine.
Yeah, you
I was a
probably
little
right.
kid.
Were you wearing a
On a small
helmet?
bike. Probably not, if I had to guess. Might explain why I'm this way these days, but
Well,
that's besides the point.
Well,
Yeah, we had all this like outside time.
yeah. So I remember playing outside way more. I remember. So this is kind of scooching forward in time. Our next episode, we're just gonna keep continuing this series chronologically. And before we would play any games, we would always have to be outside for an hour at least. Before, if it was nice, 2 hours. Before we would touch our game console, we would have to.
We had a requirement.
Yep, we had to go outside, and it didn't matter what we would do. Obviously, we couldn't stand there or sit around and do nothing. But our parents would genuinely push us outside, like not literally throwing us outside, but they would like, come on, we're going outside, push us, out, close the door, and lock it. And we would play outside for an hour and a half, whatever it was. And it wasn't like, like, I'm sure if you did that to kids today, they'd be like screaming, kicking the door, crying, whatever. But no, we were just like, oh, well, guess we're going to go play kick the can, or guess we're going to go, play kickball at the stadium behind our house, or guess we're going to go shoot model rockets, or whatever it was.
Heck yeah.
So taking that with the outside, the playing, I want to get into like some of the toys.
Okay.
Do you remember if you had like a favorite toy, or if you have memories of toys at that age that you want to talk about?
Yeah, Legos, 100% Legos.
Oh yeah, I should have figured that was coming. Okay. Sorry.
No,
Legos,
go ahead.
Legos in particular at that time were like, for some reason, why do I remember them being way cooler than they are now? Like Lego Mission Space, that was sick.
Because it was just, we were young and we could play with them. Like now, as you know, I still collect Legos. I don't sit there and play with them. I just put them on a shelf and look at them just to have. But I think there's the element that we could actually like play with them, and we'd like create all these like scenarios with these things.
That's right.
Like freaking take them in the bathtub because some of them floated.
Oh,
it was
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and I specifically remember for my 6th birthday, I got this big like fireboat.
Lego City?
Yeah, let me see if I can find the one online actually. But that is my like most clear memory ever from that time, like over anything else. I remember unwrapping that on my 6th birthday for some reason. I don't know why.
That's awesome.
But also another big one I got that birthday was Lego Atlantis. That was a thing back then.
Oh my god, I forgot about that.
Let's see, I'll send it to your DM.
There was Bionicle.
Bionicle was awesome. They had those like big sets with like they're for older kids, but I still wanted them because
they were cool.
Yeah, they had like the speeder bikes and whatever. Those are sick.
What were the old Lego sets that you could get? There was Mission Space. There was Lego City. There was
Lego Atlantis was big.
Atlantis. Ninjago came later.
There was it like Lego Agents or something?
Oh, the Spy. Yeah.
The Ultra Agents.
Yeah.
Or Lego Agents, Ultra Agents, something like that.
We also had the what are those things called? I'm putting it up on the stream. The little plastic finger lights.
Yeah, I guess just plastic finger lights.
Yeah, they were they had these bands. You can see it on stream. Audio only listeners, I'll try to describe it for you. They were these little plastic flashlights, very small, and they had a band that wrapped around them, and you would put like a rubber band, kind of. Yeah, it was a rubber band, and you would put it on your finger, like a ring, except for it was a ring that had a flashlight on top, and you would switch the switch on the top of your finger, and you'd have like 5 of them, and you would like, you know, make your own kind of light show with your hands.
Those are really cool, yeah. I'm looking at your stream. There's the Amazon for 300 300
Are you
of them.
serious? Oh yeah, you're right. I see him top left there.
Yeah. Yeah, those were awesome. And we used to use those when we played outside at night.
Yeah,
I
remember
played
that.
I don't remember exactly what we called it, but it was like Manhunt. And like someone would be hiding and had to find them. Yeah.
I remember that we would play with Nerf guns and we would play with the little things. Yeah.
Yeah, those are awesome.
While we're on the same topic of toys, I want to bring out a couple more maybe nostalgic. Someone in my chat said the original Thanos gloves. That's correct.
Exactly.
That's correct. So I had, back when I had my garage room, I had this thing called the Crayola Glow Station. Now, this thing was a mat that you would unfold, and it would be this like matte green finish, and you had this UV pen. And the pen, you would turn on the pen and draw on the mat, and the section of the mat would glow with the light that you just drew. I'm gonna pop off on the stream real quick again. So
I know exactly what you're talking about.
It looked like this. This was exactly what it looked like, and it had a little hole on the top right of the picture on stream, and I would hang the glow station from the hook on the gas pump, and I would turn all the lights off in my room, close the curtain, and draw on the light board thing. And it came with these stencils that you could like shade. And it was,
dude, yeah,
it was something else.
Those are awesome. I remember those too.
Did you have someone that you knew that had it, or did you have it yourself?
No, I had one myself. I don't know if it was like name brand, but I totally remember using something like that. And I don't know, kind of again off topic, but I don't know what about this stuff makes it so like why was that so captivating to us? Like, it makes no sense thinking back on it now, but like back then that was like the coolest thing.
Right?
I don't like.
Yeah. I think it was just the mystery of it. Like, it was, wow, we can draw on this thing, and then it, you know, like, where does it go? It goes nowhere, and then you turn the lights on and it's gone.
It's invisible.
We didn't know how it worked as a kid, and we're like, wow, it's great.
Yeah, I guess, dude. Yeah, that's a good way of thinking about it.
Oh, you sent me the boat.
Yeah, I sent you the boat.
Wait, let me post this up on the on a stream real quick. So this was the Lego City fireboat, and I remember you could put this in the bathtub. Yeah, it even says right there the ship floats on the the thing.
Yeah, that thing was like.
Did it have a motor on it?
Yeah, that little orange thing you could stick on the bottom and turn it on and drive around.
Yeah. Yeah, there it is, the Lego City fireboat. So we also had, like, I don't remember if these toys came later or not. We may or may not bring them back in another episode of this, but the Hex Bugs and Zuzu Pets. For those that are unaware, Zuzu Pets were these hamsters that had a speaker in them and wheels on the bottom. And when you press the button on the top of the hamster, like the heart on this one or the swirl on this one, they would start talking, and then they would just go. They would go around the room, you know, turning and just zipping around with their wheels, and their noses had buttons, so if they bumped into something, they could go backwards and, you know, restart their path. Then you could buy sets for them where you could build tracks and they would go, around the track, and it would be like your hamster wheel or whatever. They also had like armor things that you could buy for them. Like this one is a like a car, and it would find the car, it would go into the car, and then it would just start pushing the car like it was driving.
What, dude?
Yeah, so I had a couple of these.
I had the little bubble car right there. I had that one.
Bubble. Oh, the this one.
That blue one with the bubble dome.
Yeah. It would go inside,
Dude.
and then it would push the car around like it was driving it.
Yes. Oh my god.
We had tanks. We had little like tank armor that the little things would go into and like hit each other. It's funny.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Oh my god.
So on the same note as Zoo, we had the Zoopals. The animal paper plates.
The little
I
plates?
know y'all remember that
my.
if you're American and you're watching in a stream. We had we had these paper plates, and they would always advertise them on TV, and they were paper plates that would look like animals. And the people that were advertising these paper plates would always like grab them and hold them up to their face and then like do like a little dance with them on the ad for TV. It was
Dude,
something
yeah,
else.
you had the little ears on that one. You could put your pretzels in one of the ears, put
Yeah.
your goldfish in the other. Yeah, dude, those are awesome.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Man, what a time that was. What a time.
Like it's so like it's weird, right? Like there's so many kids that are growing up totally different than we did.
Yeah, and then before us, there
They
were
were
kids
totally
that grew
different
up
too, right?
totally different than us. I mean, we had things like Club Penguin come into play, and Wizard
Mm-hmm.
101, and that girl one, was it Monster High, or I don't remember what the heck it was.
Funny enough, World of Warcraft came out around that time
World
too.
of Warcraft, but World of Warcraft was 90s, I think. No?
No, it was like I don't even because I didn't play back then.
I thought it was late 90s, but I could be mistaken.
It was 2004.
Wow, I was way off. Okay. Yeah, you're right. Warcraft came out. And man.
It was definitely a turning point. Like when all those games started coming out, that was kind of when that whole way of childhood growing up like started to fade out. Like you could totally, like now that I think back on it, totally like changed.
Really?
Oh yeah, no, because then people would start like again, my parents would make me play outside, and
Right.
I'm sure yours did too.
Mhm.
But I knew people who would be inside on their computers. Like again, it was a little after the point we're talking about, but I totally remember kind of when games started becoming more relevant and changing the way people were growing up.
I remember when that happened with social media and phones.
Yeah, with like when Instagram came out. Yeah,
With the OG icon with the beige camera and the lens in the middle.
yeah, dude. Yeah, that
Yeah.
wasn't like that was.
We'll talk about that in a later
straight.
episode,
That's for
yeah.
another episode. Yeah.
So, in this episode, we went through early memories, preschool, kindergarten, first grade. Now, we're going to continue the series chronologically. So, next episode will be second, maybe a little bit of third. And, not only school, but as we did with this episode, talking about things
Just that
around
age,
school,
kind of.
general events that happened, and, things that kind of shaped our lives. But unless you have anything else you want to add to this episode, I mean, we pretty much talked about.
I mean, we got a nice, we went through it all. I think. I mean,
obviously we're missing some things, but
I'm
these
sure
are the
like
things that
as we
came
listen
up.
to this back, we're gonna start thinking of other things. But,
Right, exactly. But yeah, this is the first kind of pilot episode of Only 2000's Kids Remember. If you enjoyed, stay tuned for the next episode. We will be coming out, pretty soon, hopefully.
reasonably soon.
And if you're on the stream right now, thanks for watching. appreciate you guys coming in to hang out with us for a little bit, learn some new
Lore?
lore from me and my man Brady over here.
Yeah,